Hello crafty friends, it's Jess from jesscrafts.com, and today I'm here as part of the Lawnscaping July Blog Hop sponsored by Ink Road. This is a Facebook inspiration team blog hop, and we're sharing cards with the color of deep red this month. So I wanted to use the Bugs and Kisses stamp set because the ladybugs would look great in red, and I have this homemade stencil using the Lawn Fawn's Hearts dies. And it's cut with a really thin material that's used for plastic dividers in a notebook. And I thought that it would be better to use this homemade stencil because it was directly a Lawn Fawn product, and I could show you how to get a little bit more versatility out of their dies. I've used this stencil in the past for inking through with Distress ink, and it's worked really well. So I tried to emboss with it today. And I have some embossing paste over there to the side. It's actually spackling and not true embossing paste, but it works very similarly and is quite a bit cheaper. I mixed in some Fired Brick Distress Reinker to give this deep red color, and I tried to place it over that Lawn Fawn homemade stencil, but the stencil material is so thin it was leaking through the hearts, especially the larger ones. And so I switched over to the Falling Heart stencil from Simon Says Stamp. It's made with a thicker stencil material, and it has smaller holes in it, so it worked a lot better with embossing paste. I'm not sure how stencils with large holes in them would work with embossing paste generally. Maybe that was the problem and not so much the fact that it was homemade and a little bit thinner, but I would definitely encourage you to experiment with that and not get disappointed if it doesn't work. That one of the only ways we can learn is by just playing around with our supplies. But I do like to include times when I have mistakes or trouble in case it helps you to learn a little bit from it. But the Simon Says Stamp stencil worked beautifully, and so I took it and I covered the stitched rectangle panel here with the hearts, and since I had some extra embossing paste, I did a couple more. I wanted to use the ladybugs as I mentioned from Bugs and Kisses, so I'm stamping them out with some of my favorite things, Black Licorice Hybrid ink, and I'm going to be coloring them with Copics. I'm stamping a whole bunch of them because they're so small, yet I want them to have a large impact on the card, so I know I'm going to be using multiple. I'm not quite sure how many I'm going to use, so I choose to color 8 here. I'm using R29 and R27 to color the ladybugs. I start by laying an all-over base of the R27, add a little bit of shadow with the R29, and then go back and blend it with the R27. I found though that if you just you start with a darker color and blend out with a lighter color, that works as well. When you're doing a small area like this, it's not so necessary to lay on a lot of color. It's usually easy enough to just go a little bit of the shadow and blend it out with the lighter. And so that's what I'm doing here with the W markers as well. I have W7 and W5. I take the W7, blend it out with the W5. And I'm going to do that for all of them, and then I'm going to die cut them with their coordinating dies, which leaves this little white border. I'm going to lay them all over this heart panel, and I'm popping them up on foam tape. It's going to be a little bit difficult to adhere them flat because there is that dimension of the embossing paste with the hearts. So what I'm choosing to do is to lay them such that the foam tape is not on top of any of the hearts, but instead in between some of the hearts. That way they're all the same dimension and they're less likely to have any damage to those hearts because the ladybugs are sort of protecting them by providing another layer there. I'm going to stamp this really tiny I love you sentiment from the Critters in the Jungle stamp set. I wanted to use a sentiment right on my panel, but I knew it needed to be small enough to fit between the hearts. So I stamped it in again in the My Favorite Things Black Licorice Hybrid ink because I'm going to Copic color that little heart red so it kind of blends in with the background a little bit, but it will be a slightly darker red so that it isn't completely lost. As you see, I'm putting the ladybugs down in sort of a random formation where some of them are facing up, some of them are facing down, and generally that they're bringing the attention a little bit more towards the sentiment. To continue with the red theme, this was one of the smaller stitched rectangle dies. I wanted to use some red paper, and I knew that the Lawn Fawn Snowy Day had some red in it because it was a Christmas collection. There are two different red papers in there. The one with the snowflakes is obviously out, but there are two other ones that aren't too Christmassy. But this one here is considerably lighter than the other one, so I went with the darker one to keep with the deep red theme of the blog hop. I cut that with the largest of the small stitched rectangle dies, and then to create a little bit of a matte for it, and again to bring in an even darker color of red, I am taking my Fired Brick Distress ink, laying a little bit of ink all over the edges of a cardstock panel, and then I'll matte that. I'll use that as a matte around the panels that I've already created. So there's like 3 layers to each of the cards. And like I said, I was able to create a few more of those heart panels so that I can recreate this card or use some other designs with it. And once I have that matted on my cardstock, that's going to be it for my card today. Like I said, this is part of a blog hop, so it's sponsored by Ink Road. If you join in the blog hop and leave comments at all the blogs, you'll be entered for a chance to win a prize from Ink Road, and you'll get a lot of great inspiration using Lawn Fawn products. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you are interested in more crafting tutorials using Lawn Fawn, Newton's Nook Designs, then you can join my channel by subscribing and you'll get all my video updates. I'll leave you links to Ink Road and the blog hop so you can join along with us. Thanks for watching. Bye.